Hi guys, today's our lesson is about the threat based on absolute advantage. There are three learning objectives on this lesson, and I hope that by the end of this lesson, you should be able to first explain what is absolute advantage, second, outline the assumption of absolute advantage, and third, discuss the significance and limitation of absolute advantage. So, we will start with the first learning objective. What is absolute advantage? First of all, the absolute advantage model is developed by Adam Smith, which is also known as the father of economics. Absolute advantage model is the first theory explained on how trade works and indicated the importance of specialization in production and division of labor. There are two key ideas based on the absolute advantage model. First, a nation should not produce goods that it can buy from other nations at cheaper prices. Simply said, a nation should buy from others if it is cheaper than produced by itself. Second, in such ways, a country will benefit from specialization in production of goods in which it has absolute advantage. Absolute advantage refers to when a country only specializes in goods in which it can produce at cheaper prices than other countries. Therefore, the absolute advantage model is built on several principles. First, it is based on market forces, which is demand and supply without any intervention from the government. Simply said, it is based on free trade idea. Second, benefit from trade between countries or nations only happen when countries able to produce goods at the lowest absolute cost in comparison to other countries. Or in other words, the country able to produce the same goods at cheaper prices and in higher volume than another country in which it has a trade relationship. Last, this model encourages each country to specialize in the production of specific good which it is good at or better than other countries. Okay, now we will discuss the assumption of absolute advantage model. There are four basic assumptions which are trade is between two countries. So I will use Burgerland and Carland as the two countries in my following discussion. Trade only with two commodities or goods. So here we have burger and car as the two goods traded between Burgerland and Carland. Moreover, there are no barriers to trade between countries, zero barriers. Last, the only factor of production is labor. That is, the cost for the production involved is only for labor. Here, a very simple illustration to show how the absolute advantage model works. Two countries, Burgerland and Carland. Two goods, burger and car. Factor production, labor only. So, in Burgerland, 1 unit of labor produced 60 units of burger and 15 units of car, whereas in Carland, 1 unit of labor produced 10 units of burger and 40 units of car. The question is, which country has absolute advantage in producing burger and car? As I said previously, that a country will have absolute advantage when it able to produce a good at cheaper prices or more unit of output using the same unit of inputs. Here, both Burgerland and Carland have the same unit of input, which is labor in the production of burger and car. However, we can see that in terms of burger production, Burgerland can produce more burgers than Carland, whereas in terms of car production, Carland can produce more car than Burgerland. Therefore, Burgerland has the absolute advantage in producing burger, while Carland has the absolute advantage in producing car. Here, this diagram shows the production before specialization, and we found that which country has absolute advantage in burger and car production. Now, this new diagram shows the production due to specialization. Burgerland has the absolute advantage in burger production, hence will specialize in producing burger, whereas Carland has the absolute advantage in car production, so it will specialize in producing car. But now, the main question is how Burgerland get cars when it only produce burger? Same for Carland that how it gets burger when it only produce car. Does this mean that they only consume what they only have? No. Both countries able to get what they do not produce from the country that is producing the good. Simply said, Burgerland trades with Carland to get car and vice versa. Here is the diagram which show both countries specialize in the goods they are good at. And now assume that the two countries trade based on 20 burgers with 20 cars. Now, the new diagram shows that Burgerland will get 20 units of car by trading 20 units of burger with Carland. At the same time, Carland will get 20 units of burger by trading 20 units of car with Burgerland. Now, let's compare before specialization and trade with after specialization and trade. The left diagram shows the original diagram when no specialization and trade happen. And the right diagram shows what happened after trade and specialization. Obviously, with specialization, Burgerland can consume more car than before. And Carland also have more burgers than before. Remember, the trade is based on 20 burgers with 20 cars. Numerically, we can see that in order to make 20 burgers in Burgerland, it needs 0.33 unit of resources. And the trade of 20 burgers enable Burgerland to get 20 cars from Carland. If Burgerland wants to make 20 cars by itself, it requires 1.33 unit of resources. This is more than the 0.33 unit of resources that Burgerland used to make 20 burgers and trade 20 cars from Carland. Simply said, both countries are better off by specializing the good that they are good at and trade with others for the good that they can produce at cheaper prices. This is the main benefit of trade. Now, we will discuss the last part of today's lesson, significance and limitation of absolute advantage. There are three main significance of the absolute advantage model. First, cost advantage. The model emphasizes on specialization of labor. That is, make use of labor in producing goods that they are good at. When labor can specializing in producing what they are good at, thus productivity increase and cost per unit of output reduce. When a country only focuses on producing one particular good instead of two, the country able to focus all resources in producing one good that enable mass production. Hence, a country able to achieve economy of scale. highest production with optimum of input. Second, natural advantage. Remember the previous lesson which I explained that some countries are rich in certain resources while some are not? I use the example of Malaysia in exporting cocoa bean to Switzerland, which Switzerland unable to grow due to its climatic condition. So, Switzerland has to import from those countries that are specializing in producing cocoa beans like Malaysia. Malaysia also had a suitable climatic condition for palm oil plantation, tea in Sri Lanka, rice in Thailand and India. The next advantage, acquired advantage. This is different than natural advantage, which is naturally born in the country or inherited in the country due to the climatic condition and geography. Acquired advantage is acquired by a country due to research and development. Remember the example of Japan, which the country export many goods not based on natural resources like what Malaysia did, but Japan export large percentage of automotive and electronic goods. This is the classic examples of how a country specializing in producing goods which it has the acquired advantage. The absolute advantage model is not without limitation. Being the first theory in explaining trade and also as the classic theory in trade, the absolute advantage model has a few limitations which these limitations provide basis ground for the development of other trade theories. First of all, the model focuses only on one factor of production, which is labor. Other factors such as capital and land are not included. Second, the model also assumes only two countries engage in the production of two goods. Remember, Carland and Burgerland, burger and car. In reality, a country trade with more than one country and also produce more than one good. Third, the assumption of a country holding absolute advantage is not realistic because some countries might not have any absolute advantage. Fourth, country is different in sizes and specializations. Remember the gravity model which emphasized on size, GDP of the countries? This was not included in the absolute advantage model. Last, no transportation cost involved, which the cost solely depends on the labor, but how the goods move from country A to B. No matter how it moves, it for sure involves cost. All these limitations gave rise to the Ricardian model by David Ricardo, which focus on comparative advantage. We will be discussing the Ricardian model in the next lesson. Thank you and see you again. Bye bye.